Hello everyone and welcome to this week's I've Been Playing, where today we are talking about Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I'm going to preface this with the probably obvious spoiler warning because this game did just come out. So if you want to go into it fresh and you haven't yet, avoid this video. I don't know why you clicked on it in the first place, but there will be some minor spoilers. Keep in mind also, however, that I am the type of person who immediately gets distracted by side quests and little map markers and collectibles and stuff like that. So despite the fact that I've played for a good 15 hours or so, I've barely gotten into the titular Forbidden West itself. So there aren't gonna be any, late game spoilers happening, because I don't know what happens yet either. With that out of the way, obviously Horizon Forbidden West picks up roughly where Horizon Zero Dawn left off. It's 6 months in the future, but that's close enough. Aloy has been chasing after backups of Gaia. That has been her sole purpose for the past 6 months, and we pick up with her looking for another one. And since this is the very beginning of the game, and obviously it is a very massive game, she doesn't find one immediately. And as things progress, Aloy realizes that she has to go west because Silence, the little jerk, has stolen Hades for his own nefarious purposes and has gone west himself. And she wants to track him down to finally get rid of, the thing that was trying to kill everything. But first she has to make her way through the Daunt, which kind of serves as the tutorial area. The first little bit is sort of a tutorial because it kind of reminds you of the mechanics of the first game a little bit, but I would say the Daunt is the actual tutorial area where you actually get more familiarized with the mechanics of this specific game. Because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of new stuff, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Mainly, by a lot of new stuff, I mean there are a lot of new gadgets that you're gonna get. But once she gets to the Daunt, she realizes she can't just pass into the Forbidden West. She has to have an embassy happen because the Tenakth, who are the people, or some of the people, one of the tribes in the West, will probably kill her on sight, so she needs some sort of, diplomacy or acceptance that, she won't get attacked on sight before she goes through there. But the Daunt has its own problems in the form of, surprise, surprise, machines that have shown up that are killing people. So she has to take care of some of that stuff first, and then she can continue. And I'm gonna be honest, this is about the point I've gotten to. Like I said, I've played about 15 hours of the game. I've done a little bit in the Forbidden West part, but mostly that's where I've gotten to. In terms of gameplay, a lot of this is very similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a good thing. Most of the buttons are the same, a lot of the mechanics are at least roughly the same. That being said, however, there are a whole bunch of new items that you will unlock. A lot of them have been, or at least a couple of them have been shown off in trailers before, the glider and the underwater breather. One of which I have, one of which I don't. I'm not going to tell you which for spoiler reasons, because it is kind of a big deal, but one of them you must get quite late in the game. But you also have a bunch of other new tools at your disposal. The first one you get is the pullcaster. You get that pretty early in the game, so I feel like that's not too spoilery to say, but that's something, as you can probably tell from the name, you can pull stuff down with it, or pull stuff off of walls with it, and you can also use it to pull yourself to things. So, a grappling hook, basically. And because there are now so many things in the game, the mechanics of these things can get a little complicated. Thankfully they have decent tutorials for everything, and very early on in the Daunt there's a melee pit. So this is related to the fancy new skill trees that Aloy has, but you can practice things in the melee pit. It will kind of help you familiarize yourself with some of the new spear combos, because the spear is much more useful in this game already, and I haven't unlocked a whole bunch of stuff for it, than it was in the first one. You have actual combos, you have actual attacks, and boosts and all sorts of stuff for your spear, so it becomes a lot more fun and a lot more useful to use in this game than it was in the first. There's also some other little stuff, like Aloy can collect ingredients to be used in cooking now. There's also a stash, so instead of Aloy not being able to pick stuff up, she sends it to her stash and then you can pick it up later if you run out of something, which is so convenient, as opposed to having to constantly loot the environment for stuff. You can ping your focus, which makes important stuff flash up on screen for a few seconds, as opposed to it being there all the time. Now this, I personally It's not annoying or anything, I just don't like missing things, so I don't like the fact that I have to rely on myself to remember that I have to do that to collect everything in an area, but that's just me. It's not a bad mechanic, and it looks a lot better on screen to not have all those little icons everywhere, but I'm just worried I'm gonna leave something behind. There's even a minigame called Strike, I think, which I completely failed at the beginner's level, so that's not for me, clearly, but there is kind of a, like, minigame, board game kind of deal, which is something that was not at all in the first one. Fast travel is much easier. You can fast travel between any campfires or just major points that you've been to. Well, you have to fast travel from a campfire, but you can fast travel to things that aren't campfires. Not everything, but some things. You can still use fast travel packs if you're not at a campfire, but they're not required now, which is nice. And you don't have to farm for a good one. And I mean, I think there are other things, I'm pretty sure that's not everything that's new in this game, but those are the major ones that I can remember and that stick out to me as I'm playing. In terms of gameplay, obviously, I am playing the PS5 version. It looks very nice, it runs very well. Mostly. I was playing it for a very long time yesterday and the game got worn out and went to... You know when people say it went to a PowerPoint presentation, I've never really quite believed them? No, it was maybe 5 frames per second. It was bad. I had to turn my PS5 off for about half an hour, so the system would just kind of chill out for a little while. But otherwise, graphically and just gameplay-wise, it's looked really good and run really well. There were a couple of times where the graphics freaked out. One of them was in the opening credit cinematic thing. The world just was not there. It was like a flat expanse of brown. But there haven't been any major things like that, and it's only happened once, and that has not interfered with my gameplay at all. The frame rate thing did. New tools also make getting around a lot more useful. There's also this feature where Aloy can climb cliffs and you can do the focus thing and it'll show you where to climb, but they're not always there. There is a setting to turn them on to always on, which I've actually turned on because, again, I don't trust myself to remember to use the focus to do that, and then I'll just run around cliffs forever. So I have it turned on. It does mess with the aesthetic of the game a little bit, but at least I know where to go. And that's another thing, there are a lot of accessibility options. There's another tinnitus or tinnitus or however you want to say that. You can turn those noises off, which is just beautiful, thank you. I don't have to listen to that anymore. But there are a whole lot of other things. Probably one of the largest amount of accessibility options that I've seen. There are a few that I feel like probably should be there that aren't. Like, I don't think there's a colorblind mode, but there is a whole bunch of other stuff that makes it a lot easier for you to customize your experience. As for whether I'm enjoying it, I am enjoying it quite a lot. I think I'm enjoying it more than the first one because it has been streamlined a little bit, and there are a lot of conveniences that have been added, especially the stash thing, the fast travel. That stuff does make playing a lot more fun, a lot more streamlined, a lot more convenient, and I'm also glad that Aloy can use her spear more. And also, one thing I didn't mention is that you have more space in your weapon wheel, so you can have more weapons equipped at the same time. And then you also have other special moves that require this thing called Valor. There are a lot of new mechanics. They work really well, they're really cool, and you can customize Aloy a little bit more because of the skill trees. I think there are 6 different ones. There's Warrior, Hunter, Trapper, Machine Master or something like that, Infiltrator. You can mix and match. Obviously, I don't think I've used the Trapper or the Machine one at all, because I don't do that much in my games, but, you know, you can upgrade that stuff if you do. So I like all of the new options and mechanics and way they have updated and changed the game just enough that it feels better. That being said, one thing I'm still finding annoying that I found annoying in the first game is that sometimes Aloy just, like, lets go of a cliff, or doesn't grab onto a cliff even though I hit the button. Maybe I'm not hitting the button, but I feel like I'm hitting the button. There was one time I was climbing up a cliff, she fell off right in front of Thunderjaw, and I was like, really, Aloy? I'm like level 6. You really think I'm gonna take this thing out? Why couldn't you just climb up to the top? We would have been fine. But no, she fell literally right in front of its face. And I didn't hit anything, she just didn't grab the handholds. So every once in a while there's something like that where the controls don't quite work the way I think they're going to, or sometimes when I'm trying to use the pullcaster I don't have it in the exact right spot, even though I'm clearly aiming at the thing that indicates that you can pull something down. It's like, oh, I can't attach to that. You're like 2 pixels to the right. I'm not doing that. So every once in a while, there's a little annoyance like that. It doesn't happen often enough that I'm not enjoying myself, but it does happen, and it does annoy me when it does. Overall, I don't think people are going to be disappointed with this. I suppose it depends on the story and where the story goes. I'm enjoying the story thus far. I went a little farther than what I talked about, but that gets super spoilery, so I don't want to go into it too much. But, you know, it probably depends on where the story goes in the future. So far I'm having a lot of fun with it though, so, you know, if you enjoyed the first one, this does improve upon the first one. I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. And that's what I think of Horizon Forbidden West. Do you agree with me, or do you have your own thoughts that I didn't bring up, or mechanics, because there are a lot of them? Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and if you enjoyed this and are not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I do one of these every Monday, and a whole bunch of other stuff on my channel. I'll see you next time.